Well, Hurricane Milton is still a Category 5 right now. It has come down in its wind speed just by 5 miles, but sustained winds are still at 160 miles per hour, gusting at 200. You can see that clearly well-defined eye. It is moving a little bit quicker now than it was earlier, now moving to the northeast at 12 miles per hour. Now, it is expected to stay as a Category 5 over the next several hours, but it should start to weaken just slightly down to a Category 4 by tomorrow with some stronger upper-level winds nearby. Now, the time of landfall still looks like late tomorrow night, early Thursday morning, either as a strong Category 3 or right on the cusp as a Category 4. You can see there's no forecast points in between there, but that landfall still expected late tomorrow night in the early morning hours Thursday. Strong Cat 3, maybe a Cat 4, and then it looks like it will still be a Category 1 as it moves across the peninsula through early Thursday. So those hurricane impacts, those hurricane force winds will be spreading across a good chunk of the Florida peninsula. So the impacts will be felt, of course, away from the cone. The exact landfall location can still change a little bit, but it looks like landfall will be either Tampa Bay or somewhere just south of Tampa Bay near Sarasota late tomorrow night. I mentioned the wind shear. That is really the only small silver lining we have that will help knock down its intensity ever so slightly, but it's still going to be a very powerful, destructive hurricane, a major hurricane at landfall late tomorrow night. Of course, we still have the hurricane warnings across a good portion of the peninsula. That includes Tampa down to Sarasota, Fort Myers, Orlando, and through the east side of the peninsula, because it will be moving in that kind of general direction, east-northeastward. It's just going to be a complete slam across so many spots across the Florida peninsula. Tomorrow, it looks like the worst of the impacts will be felt in the form of storm surge. Still estimating 10 to 15 feet of surge for Tampa Bay, St. Pete down to Sarasota, and then Fort Myers 8 to 12 feet of surge as the water pushes onshore getting into tomorrow. So this is going to be a big catastrophic event for so many people for Florida. And the wind impact, also another huge thing. The strong damaging winds felt from Tampa Bay down to Port Charlotte into Fort Myers, even spreading inland as the storm lashes inland. That's where those wind speeds can be over 110 miles per hour. But even for Orlando, Melbourne, Fort Pierce, they could see wind speeds up to 75 to 110 miles per hour. You can see that corridor of the worst weather that will be unfolding getting into late tomorrow night through the overnight into early Thursday. Taking a look at those wind gusts, still expecting those very strong wind gusts, maybe up to 80, 90 miles per hour in a few spots across the Tampa Bay region. Depending on the landfall spots, the core of the storm is where the strongest of the winds do happen, but we're talking destructive winds across a good portion of the central part of the peninsula. And the tropical storm force winds could even spread inland, because as the storm moves closer to Florida tomorrow, the wind field is going to grow in size. Its magnitude will be growing in size, so those strong winds will be felt far away from the center of the storm. There's also that tornado risk coming in tomorrow as the outer bands can produce those quick spin-up tornadoes. Now, here at home, we've got really quiet and nice weather. Temperatures are in the upper 70s now. We've got low dew points, meaning it's not really too humid. Tomorrow morning will be cool. We'll start the day tomorrow in the 50s on the North Shore, 60s on the South Shore. We have a really beautiful stretch of weather with low humidity expected over the next week. No rain to worry about over the next week either. Lots of sunshine, warm afternoons in the 80s, and our first cold front next week may bring our temperatures in the 70s by next Tuesday.